for these vocabulary words while I read the lesson. Technology, Paleolithic era, hunter-gatherer. Think about this question while you watch the video. Date, September 12th. Year, 1940. Location, France. Sacre bleu! Mon chien est perdu! Translation: Oh my God, my dog is lost! 4 French boys are searching in a cave for their lost dog. The light from their lamp barely pierced the darkness, and it was not until they reached the first narrowing of the passage that the 4 teenagers made out the first paintings on the walls. What strange thing had they found? The 4 French teenagers had found old paintings on the cave walls of Lascaux, France. The paintings date back to around 15,000 BC. They showed many animals including horses, bison, deer, and oxen. Some of the animals had not lived in France for a very long time. The pictures were painted in bright colors and told a story. They give us a glimpse into the lives of ancient people. We do not have written records from this time. We certainly do not have people who can tell stories about ancestors who lived that far back in the past. This guy? Only in the cartoons, my friend. Therefore, scientists such as historians, archaeologists, and anthropologists have had to use cave paintings and other artifacts to uncover clues about early humans and their way of life. Some scientists study fossils. Some scientists also study artifacts such as pots, bones, and tools. By studying all of these primary sources, scientists can figure out information about the lives of the earliest people. By studying artifacts such as tools, scientists are studying the technology of people. Technology is all the methods we use to solve practical problems. As you will see, the technology of ancient people was based on stone tools. By studying these tools, scientists have concluded that early people used stone axes to cut wood to make fires. Bone needles helped them sew animal skins into clothing, blankets, and tents to keep them warm and dry. Based on artifacts that can be dated, scientists believe that the first known species of humans began in Africa more than 2.5 million years ago. At this time, people made tools mainly from stone. As a result, we call this period the Stone Age. The Paleolithic era is called the Old Stone Age. It is the earliest part of the Stone Age. Suppose that you lived during the Paleolithic era. You and your group were hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers means that you spent your days hunting animals or gathering fruits, vegetables, and roots. Men and young boys hunted animals, like bison, for food. Women and young girls gathered the rest of the food, including nuts and berries. Occasionally, women also trapped small game. Paleolithic hunter-gatherers were taller than we are today. They were healthier and had strong bones. Their teeth had no cavities. During the past 1 billion years, Earth's climate has varied greatly. The Ice Age refers to a period that started about 1.5 million years ago and ended about 10,000 years ago. During the Ice Age, ice covered more than 1/3 of Earth's surface, as this map shows. How did hunter-gatherers survive the harsh winters? Well, they built fires to stay warm, to cook food, and to keep them safe from wild animals. During the warmer months, hunters traveled great distances, tracking bison, reindeer, and other animals. They stored food for the winter by drying it or smoking it over a fire. They built stronger, thicker shelters and made warmer clothing out of animal furs, too. Some found shelter in caves. Since the Paleolithic people were always on the move, they had to adjust to different surroundings. They became experts at knowing how to find animals they could eat and where tasty plants grew. They knew how to fish and gather honey. It was during the Paleolithic era that people began to use art to express their feelings. Early artists in Australia, for example, painted scenes showing rocks, animals, and rivers. Perhaps they believed that people became these things when they died. In the beginning of this lesson, you read about cave paintings made about 17,000 years ago. Scientists have found paintings from even earlier times, painted as long ago as 30,000 years. These artists painted on rocks, cave walls, and roofs. Ancient people also made sculptures from bone and clay. Early artists crushed colored rocks to make paints. They used chalk to make white paint, charcoal to make black paint, and iron oxide to make red paint. How do you think they made paintbrushes? Well, they used animal hair, just as we do today. Some scientists say that language is one of the most important things that makes us human. To learn how language started, scientists compared the skulls of people who lived from about 70,000 to 35,000 BC with those of modern babies and adults. We know which part of the brain controls language. Some early people had brains too small to have this part. By looking for skulls big enough to hold a larger brain, scientists think that language developed between 20,000 and 10,000 BC. Cave drawings and the use of tools, however, suggest that early people who had not developed language communicated in other ways. For example, these cave drawings were a visual way for early humans to communicate with each other. Paleolithic people were the first to use technology. At first, they made simple tools by knocking small pieces off stones in order to form sharp edges. Later, they made more complicated tools, such as axes, from a stone called flint. They made sharp edges on hand axes by chipping away small flakes of flint. They then used the small flakes to make other tools, such as knives and scrapers. Later in the Old Stone Age, people started making tools from other materials, such as bone, deer antlers, and metal. Metal was important because it could be heated over fire and shaped. It also did not break as easily as rock. Early people needed patience and practice to make their tools. All these tools made it easier for people to hunt, gather food, build shelters, and make clothing. Here's what you learned today. First, historians, archaeologists, and anthropologists used cave paintings, fossils, and artifacts to uncover clues about early humans. Second, Paleolithic people were hunter-gatherers who adapted to their surroundings and made great achievements in art and language. Third, Paleolithic people created various tools that made many everyday tasks easier to do.